Vicky, always a pleasure to have you on. Apart from Saudi Arabia's unilateral action, OPEC Plus has also said that its actions will extend into the year 2024. So put together, what are the economic implications of this?
It is possible, of course, that oil prices are going to start going up a little bit more than what had been anticipated. The truth, though, is that despite the earlier cuts, just as you were suggesting, prices have hardly moved. There has been a temporary increase each time there is a cut announced, and we had those cuts announced in April this year and before that in October of last year. The truth is that in a number of cases, those announced cuts have not materialized, so there is still a huge amount of doubt as to whether Russia, of course, which is part of OPEC Plus, has put in place these cuts that were supposed to be taking place. So for the moment, as far as we can tell, oil has been flowing quite freely. The result has been that the market slightly unsettled for a bit, then calmed down again, and we have seen quite a substantial decline in oil prices overall over the past year. And most significantly, I think it has affected inflation across the world in the sense that with petrol prices going down, diesel prices coming down very significantly, what we've seen is that inflation is also being reduced in most parts of the world. So that has been quite useful. Whether this is going to change anything, given the slowdown that we've seen in the world economy anyway, particularly in the US, despite some positive sort of job figures, we've seen forecasts of just 1% growth this year. We've seen drops in GDP in Germany. We've seen the world economy generally not doing particularly well. The expectation is that demand for oil will not be that great, including from China, and therefore these cuts may not make much difference.
Which country specifically do you think is driving this, if it is indeed one country? Because certainly Saudi Arabia needs oil to be at a certain price just to be able to finance all of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's huge infrastructure projects.
That is absolutely true. And of course, they're also building a new city in the desert, which is going to cost an awful lot of money. It is Saudi Arabia, without any doubt. What people are calculating is that Saudi Arabia needs something like $80 a barrel of oil to sustain some of its spending. And as we've seen recently, oil has been below that. It's been hovering around $74, $75 a barrel recently, which means that if this is below what Saudi Arabia needs, so Saudi Arabia may well implement this extra cut. So it is Saudi Arabia that's driving it. Nevertheless, we've also seen that the other countries have agreed, assuming they keep to it, to keep their production cuts through 2024. In other words, they're not going to increase them again, or so they say, but they're going to keep them at the reductions that they had agreed just a few months ago and also last year. Well, it remains to be seen if that's the case. So Saudi Arabia has obviously influenced a number of the countries to at least announce that. Now, whether they will do it is a different issue, of course, and many of them do need the revenues that come from oil. The expectation of a price increase may not necessarily give them more revenues, because if it gives, as a result, a slower growth in the world economy and less demand for oil, then they're not going to benefit particularly. So there is a real balancing act there to be had, and I'm sure Saudi Arabia has thought it all out, but lots of other countries we here are not that pleased with continuing with price cuts, because they absolutely need to be producing with output cuts, because they absolutely need to get the extra revenues from higher sales of oil.
Vicky Pryce, thank you very much.